Express is a leading platform that connects individuals to wealth advisory services and insurance products. And with me is the co-CEO, Rob Graham, to talk about this a little bit more. So for viewers that are unfamiliar, can you explain what indexed universal life insurance policy is? How does that work?
I'd love to, and thank you for having me, Jane.
Yeah.
Index Universal Life is the best kept financial wealth secret in America. It's very controversial, and one of the reasons it's controversial is because the brokers, agents, advisors who sell it, many of them don't understand it. It's complicated. And if you think of it from an insurance perspective, an insurance agent makes his or her money based on the amount of insurance they sell. But in order to do the IUL justice, the Index Universal Life Policy justice, it needs to be maximum funded, which means the most amount of money you can put into it with the least amount of insurance. Because as we age, insurance gets more expensive. And so after 10, 15 years, you're almost self-insured. You have to maintain 5% more death benefit in the policy than the cash value in the policy. But the beauty of the cash value is it's the most misunderstood opportunity for tax-free wealth accumulation, tax-free wealth access, and tax-free wealth transfer that blossoms into a much larger amount as a death benefit.
So this reminds me a little bit of whole life insurance. How are they different?
So insurance in general was basically just term, and people were getting priced out of the market as they got older because the actuarials know we're going to die. So insurance gets more expensive. So they came up with this concept of term, of whole life insurance. I think back in the early 80s. And it was a very good product at the time because people said, listen, I want to be insured for my whole life. And so what they came up with was a formula that you overfund in your earlier years and then you underfund in your later years. And so it was a very good vehicle for generating a death benefit that would be beneficial to your heirs over the course of your lifetime. But back in 1980, E.F. Hutton understood what he could do with IULs. In fact, they weren't IULs, it was just universal life insurance back then. And he understood that you could get living benefits out of universal life where you could only get a death benefit out of whole life. And that's the primary difference.
Okay. Who would these be particularly good for? The IUL.
So the IUL is good for the long-term planner. The person with substantial wealth would do well because of the tax advantages. See, the problem with IRA 401k is they're tax deferred. You ultimately pay taxes down the line. Taxes don't go down, they go up. So in 20, 30, 40 years, when you take that money out, you're going to be paying a significant amount of that money in taxes. With IUL, you're investing post-tax dollars and they grow with the market. Because in 1997, they pegged universal life to indices, for instance, the S&P 500. And so as the S&P 500 goes, you go. Now, your return on these investments is pretty nominal. It's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10% mostly, but it's tax-free. So you've got to add 33%, 40% to that, depending on your tax bracket.
What about age-wise? Are these particularly good for somebody younger or middle-aged?
It's a very good question. So it comes back to long-term strategy. If you're going to fund it for 3 years, it's a mess. Don't do it at all. But if it's something that you understand, you're in your mid-30s and you've got young children, you're in your mid-40s and you haven't taken care of, your retirement yet, it's a very good vehicle to be investing in. Now you could put lump sums in, or you could put in money every single month, but you don't want to do it short-term. It's a long-term strategy for long-term retirement planning.
Explain the concept of infinite banking and how does that work? Is that a benefit of an IUL? And if so, how?
So infinite banking is probably the greatest benefit of IUL. Like other people, we call it family bank. The idea of a family bank is, could I make money the same way banks make money? They make money on the arbitrage between the money they get that they're paying out interest on versus the money they lend that they're collecting interest on. And in that arbitrage, they may only be making 1.5 points, but they do it millions and millions and millions of times. And it's an unbelievable benefit. The idea that a person in America could become their own bank sounds phony. It doesn't seem real, but it's very, very real. Our market specifically, we're looking for a market of $100,000 to $500,000 in investable assets. The typical traditional Wall Street market is looking for people with $500,000 and up, and they're very well served. It's a very competitive market. But that middle market's been largely ignored. And you think, well, I only have $250,000. Well, you're only 42 years old. And you have to take some time. The IRS has regulations over how much money can be recognized each year. It takes about 5 years for you to invest that $250,000 and have it be fully available to you. But it's an unbelievable benefit because you could borrow money from yourself, and you're really not borrowing from your own account. You're borrowing it from the insurance company. So your balance in that account stays the same. It grows over time, and you're borrowing the insurance company's money at, say, 4%. But let's say you're earning 8%. So you're doubling your yield, and you're growing the balance in your account. And you're not running to the bank, and you're not on your knees begging for a loan and running through all these different applications. You, in effect, become your own bank for any reason at all. If you wanted to do real estate, if you wanted to capitalize a business, if you had an emergency that you had to resolve, there's a lot of different things that you could do with the money. It's very, very liquid, and it's super, it gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. And flexibility is what everybody really needs.
Are there any tax issues with that?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
The beauty of the IUL is it's a tax-free instrument for growing wealth. It's just not understood by most people. I have many wealthy friends that I've asked about these plans, and they don't know what they are. They've never been sold to them. And if you listen to traditional talking heads, a lot of them are against it. They say just buy term and invest the difference in the market. Well, the beauty of these policies is there's no way you can lose your money. They all have a floor. So you may not make money if the market crashes, but you don't lose 30% either. It becomes a real dynamo when it comes to building wealth.
Interesting. Somebody who wants to learn more about it, where's the best place they can go?
Probably the best place to go is our website, wealthexpress.com. Then they'll be able to find lots of answers to lots of questions and figure out how to get in touch with us.
Okay. Thank you. Fascinating. I did not know about this either. So I've learned something new today. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thanks for having me.